Cade Cunningham has spent the last 4 years in basketball hell, and I don't think that's being dramatic.
In that time, numerous young players have come into the league and completely overshadowed him.
And then this year happened. Game by game, week by week, Cade Cunningham just keeps getting better and better. Everybody's finally noticing, and now the question needs to be asked, is he already a superstar? We made a video exactly 2 weeks ago where we graded every single number one overall pick from the last 10 years. And in that video, we got to 2021, we got to Cade Cunningham. We gave him a B. People were not happy with that because at that time, he had started heating up. He had about 15, 20 games where he was at an all-star level. And we were like, we see you. We hear you, Cade. We enjoy it. We're going to give him more time. We're going to see if you can hold this level of play before we get ahead of ourselves and give you an A.
All right, haters, you guys don't believe. You guys don't believe in the 15 games, huh? Wow.
But since then, he has continued to heat up even more. It's only been like 10 more games. But I don't know about you. In that time, I have become more than a believer. I'm a Cade Cunningham zealot. I'm all the way Cade pilled. Mm-hmm. This man has become an undeniable star player. He has continued to get better every single week of the season. The leap he's making has gotten more and more impressive as the sample size has grown. And I think today we have to talk about how he's gotten better, what it means for the team, what he does still need to improve on, how he's made these changes happen, and so forth. And just do a full breakdown to talk about, is he already a superstar? Because I think he might be.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. I would say I came into this season a Cade believer. Just a believer in the path that Cade was on coming into this season, which now it's much different. Now the arc is like clearly higher. We did not have this kind like an established stretch of this level of play coming into this year. We just had more so really good flashes and a baseline of like, I don't know. I won't call it empty stats or anything. I think that's a stupid phrase, but it just, there was very high highs and very high lows or very low lows. And now we're starting to get a bit more consistency game to game from him.
Exactly. I came into Cade's career being on top of the world, being in love with this 6'7" point guard who's a walking mismatch, should have walked into the league as a top 10 passer, elite shooter, can defend, all these things that like only him and Luka Doncic do. So as a rookie, I had all the stock in the world. One of the first videos I made on the D3 is me and Mo debating who's going to be better long-term, Cade or Anthony Edwards. And I was so hilariously confident that Cade would smoke Anthony Edwards long-term.
Damn.
The last couple of years, I didn't give up on him, but I said, okay, let me recalibrate my expectations. Things are slowing down, and he has some serious flaws he needs to work through. Some of those flaws are still there. We're going to talk about that. He does still have some things he needs to work on, but the strengths that we thought he'd have as a draft prospect are starting to show this year. And I think it's really coming together with the improvements the team has made to like give him a chance with a roster that's like at least kind of competent and not insane, losing 28 games in a row. So numerous factors at play, both him and team context-wise, that kind of led to this rise this year.
Yeah, that's so funny that like rookie Cade, you're planting your flag. You're like, this guy's going to be one of the best. And then it's like, oh, who's his backcourt partner? Killian Hayes. Oh fuck. Wait, he can't do anything. And so it's just like,
on the season, he's at 25.9 points, 9.4 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 1 steal, 37% from 3, 55.1 true shooting, which is up a little bit from 54.9 last year. Still not great, but the counting stats are really good. The team is 23-22, currently the 6th seed as of recording this. Nobody in the goddamn world expected me to say that sentence before the season started. And that's the biggest part of the story is the team has become competent with him driving, being 3rd in the league in assists, 15th in scoring, being a real engine, driving a competent team while not being super efficient, while having some turnover issues and whatever else issues. It's just the productivity has risen to a level that you can kind of look past those things a little bit and assume they'll keep getting better because the results are just the results.
Yeah. And I mean, 6th seed in the East, we got to throw some qualifiers on there. It's not like the absolute bloodbath that the Western, the 12 through the 6th seed in the West is. There are some teams that, maybe they're trying to lose a lot in maybe like the bottom third of the Eastern Conference is like that. But I think coming into the season, nobody would have been surprised if the Pistons just kind of defaulted to being that level of team again. They had an interesting offseason where they brought in like competent veterans, and that was really promising. But yeah, I don't think anybody would be shocked if we got to the All-Star break and it's like, oh, the Pistons had a fun 10-game stretch to start the season, and now they're the 12 seed again, and it just feels super directionless. It hasn't been that way. It feels like not only are they good, but they're good in a way where momentum is building towards the future, for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about all the ways that Cade has improved to really contribute to that. Let's go piece by piece of his game. We'll go scoring, playmaking, defense, and kind of like get the full picture, and then zoom out and talk about the team perspective. Let's start with the scoring, because that's obviously been the biggest part of the puzzle for these past few years that wasn't quite as good as we thought. Because obviously he was number one pick, and he wasn't just a number one pick. As a draft prospect, he was truly like a Zion level number one pick, Cooper Flag level number one pick, where it's undeniable. He's not Wemby. Wemby's insane, but outside of Wemby in the last 10 years as a prospect, he was viewed as a guy that could like come in and be a top 10 player, like guaranteed. He was supposed to come in and dominate. And the scoring profile these last couple of years really haven't been at that level. Last year he was around 22 points per game. Every single year of his career, he's been below average true shooting. While that's still the case, what have you been impressed by this season scoring wise that's kind of made him improve to the point where it can carry an offense?
So the big thing with Cade that's jumped out to me is the pull-up three-point shooting. And I'm not alone in that. It's not a unique take. It leaps off the screen when you watch him, just in terms of a guy who, not a crazy burst athlete, not De'Aaron Fox, John Wall, whoever going to erupt past you for a layup or anything. He can get by guys, but he's not a crazy athlete. And so when he didn't have an outside shot, that really limited the way he was able to attack the defense. And he still got his, and he got like the counting stats and everything. But the impact that arises from being a spectacular pull-up three-point shooter, he just had 25 straight games shooting 40% on 4.5 pull-up three-point attempts per game. That was one of only 6 players to do that in that stretch. Now, it's fallen up a little bit recently. The last five games, he was literally like 3 of 21 from 3. So I was like, I genuinely have to ignore that if I'm going to make this point. But I do still feel like the point is valid because when defenses have to close out on him really hard, then it's just much easier for him to get into the paint, where he is really one of the best players in the league between like his passing, which we'll get to in a second, but also his ability to finish in the paint from like 5 to 8 foot range. What jumps out? What jumps out to you?
I'm glad you specify from 5 to 8 foot range, because he is one of the worst in the league from 0 to 4 foot range. The 3-point shooting is definitely what's been the main catalyst for him taking this leap. He is not a good rim finisher. Let's start there. That's the biggest flaw in Cade Cunningham's game. You mentioned he's not an explosive, like downhill athlete in terms of like blowing by people and getting to the rim. He's not Anthony Edwards. He's not John Morant. He's not that type of guy. That's been the biggest reason why he hasn't been the like walking top 5 player he was once thought to be, just because the athleticism didn't quite translate in that way. And it's really, really difficult to be a efficient scorer if you're below average at the rim, which he has always been by a pretty wide margin. But this year,
he's not even below average. He's like straight up bad at the rim. Like
quite terrible. He's quite terrible.
Yeah, he's 55% this year. And LaMelo, that's what's crazy is like Cade. For some people, I feel like he gets an aura pass a little bit because like he looks cool and everything. Whereas LaMelo, none of that. LaMelo, like everyone recognizes really bad finisher at the rim. LaMelo's 2% better on the year. Cade's 55, and that's rounding up. LaMelo's like 57% on similar volume. And so
look at these location stats right here. He went up from 35.5 to 37% from 3 on a probably equally as difficult shot diet, but with a higher volume because it's really, really off the dribble heavy, like Jack said. Field goal percentage of the rim, still 54.9, 56% last year, essentially the same. But to your point, from short mid-range, he went from 42% to 48%. This man loves him a guard post-up, loves him a hook shot, loves him a turnaround fade from that deep paint area. And that's been an interesting development because the problem with his rim finishing is he doesn't blow by guys and create separation, creating easy shots at the rim where he can really like use his size to finish over people. Same type of criticism I had of Paolo Banchero last year. I think that kind of applies to Cade Cunningham as well. But this year, to kind of compensate for that, he's really added that deep paint shot where he uses his size in a post-up position to get shots over people. It's still not hyper efficient. That's still why he's only 55% true shooting.
Yeah.
But you start to see him, if the reality is he'll never be a crazy dynamic finisher under the rim, which might be the case, if you're going to be a fantastic off-the-dribble three-point shooter and have a decent in-between game from the mid-range, that can kind of compensate a little bit, and it can give you just enough scoring punch that the rest of your game really thrives.
Yeah. And I think the Paolo comp is interesting because it's a lot more composed. And Paolo this year, different kind of player. Like in the limited run, we've seen a lot more aggressive getting to the rim and everything. But specifically comping him to like last year, Paolo, there was a lot of post-ups where like Paolo would just see the mid-range available and he'd be like, oh, well, that's a shot I could take and I make sometimes. And it just would not be... it wouldn't be a possession that felt super thought out offensively, whereas Cade, when he gets into these post-up scenarios, you can often tell from like the second he catches the ball in the post, wherever he is, like height-wise, from the free throw line down, you do kind of get a feel for what's coming, and it seems a lot more composed and a lot more intentional, combined with the fact that I mean, do you have any more scoring stuff, or do you want to go to the passing? I don't want to step on the passing toes.
Plenty of scoring stuff left.
Hit me, nerd. Come on.
Yeah, everything you're saying is right. He is super composed, has a really good control of the game, and that is how he's able to bypass the big issues with the rim scoring. You know, I said at the start of this video, he's in basketball hell the last 4 years. He has been forced through fucking fire, unlike any top pick we've seen in recent years, dealing with the worst lineup spacing in the fucking world, the worst ball handling around him, the worst interior scoring around him. Everything around him has been piss poor. And I think he's really learned from that. Remember earlier in the season where Anthony Edwards was talking about he's not using getting double teamed and it's really throwing him off? Yeah. And that's kind of like disrupted his rhythm. Cade will never say that a day in his life. He knows nothing but double team. He knows nothing but a horrible situation. And that's led to him being incredibly composed as a playmaker, like you said. He knows how to pass out of that. But also as a scorer, he's so good at when you throw a hedge at him and you double team, he just sprints past it. He knows how to fight around it and kind of deny that double team and get those paint touches that create passing angles, create the ability to get into those post mismatches and all that stuff. That is a real strength of his that he's gained because the team was so bad around him. And that's the difference between him and someone like Paolo as a scorer, at least, where Paolo might have more physical gifts. He's 6'10" and probably faster than Cade and ridiculously athletically gifted. Cade is all feel and IQ. It's the same way that Luka Doncic is able to succeed at the rim without being traditionally fast and athletic. Obviously, Luka's a different animal and the same beast. He's much better at all these things. But it's same type of game where they had to navigate in similar ways. Yes. Just as Luka was like 20% worse at everything.
Damn. All right. Yeah. Hey, 20% worse Luka? That's still
great.
That's still a banger of a player, dude. And yeah, I think the Luka comp is fun because there's so much of once Cade gets the defender in the right spot, once Cade gets the defender on his hip, or whatever, the entire pace of the possession changes where like he explodes past the double or whatever, and then like the defender's trying to recover and then he just stops. And like he hits like maybe like a little Brunson backup or whatever. And he's not always trying to draw the foul or flop or anything, but it's just very much I got you where I want you, and I'm not going to let you get back into position. And as far as like generating team offense goes, that just makes everything a lot easier. And to 100%. Speak to the point of not even just double teams, but like the team situation. I saw this tweet that killed me where it's just like, you will never see a Cade Cunningham highlight where there's a bad defender on him. It just doesn't like that's the reality of like watching his tape is there's nobody in Detroit, or there hasn't been for years. Maybe this year you could talk differently about when Jaden Ivey was healthy or Malik Beasley or whatever. But for most of this run, there's been nobody in Detroit where the defense is not like overjoyed if they're taking a shot. They're not just like, dude, knock yourself out. I do not. Yeah. Kevin Knox, Marvin Bagley, I don't care.
Don't give a shit.
Go ahead, Sadiq Bey. It doesn't matter. And so, yeah.
He has on creation play types, which is ISO, pick and roll, and post-ups, 54.4% true shooting, which is 1.6 relative true shooting. So 1.6 higher than league average on those play types. Because, you know, those are typically very, very difficult stuff that's naturally a little bit less efficient because it's all self-created. He's pretty good on those. And as you'd expect, everything we're talking about, really good IQ, really good at getting to his own shot and not be disrupted by defenses, really good attacking in the post with his size, all that stuff. He's also really good at shooting play types. 60% true shooting there, plus 6 relative true shooting. That's spot up, handoff, and off screen. He's a sniper. The shooting is real. It's been becoming a huge advantage to him. He can play off ball with a guy like Ivy cooking. Really, really talented as a shooter, and that's been the big difference. But then you look at the bottom of this goddamn screen.
Yeah.
51% true shooting. on finishing play types. The easiest, most efficient play types in basketball, by the way, cuts, transition, put back, and pick and roll roll man.
It's hard. You can't be good
The
at
easiest
everything.
stuff.
It's hard.
I know.
Oh my God.
But he didn't choose to be slightly bad at them. He didn't choose to be like average. Minus 11.7 relative true shooting for his position. That's outrageous. That's not just a weakness. That's a gaping weakness.
Yeah.
And that's where he still has to improve.
Where like if I see him coming up out of like the 2 dribbles in the post and then he's swinging around and he's gonna go up for that mid range, when I see that, I'm comfortable. And when I see him coming down off a cut, I'm like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen here. Like this is probably not gonna be as confident as some of those other possessions.
It's not pretty. And part of this is just physical limitations, like we said. He doesn't jump that high. He's not that fast, so he's not beating people with athleticism like other young stars, like Anthony Edwards or whatever.
He's huge.
Part of it is
though.
spacing.
He's a big
gigantic.
guy. Yeah,
he is. It's part of it is spacing's been bad, right? The lineup still isn't good around him. Like you mentioned, he still has the best defender on him every play, and teams are not worried about throwing doubles at him because nobody can make him pay still. So part of it is situation makes it really difficult when you have those physical limitations already. But it's also, it's like I said with Paolo. Last year, he was bad at it as a second-year player because his footwork, I think, was really bad at getting down low and using his size instead of defaulting to like a standing layup. It's hard to finish off 1 foot, and that's something you typically improve at as your career goes on. Cade hasn't quite gotten enough good at that yet.
And he's in year 4? This is year 4?
He lost his second year to injury.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. I feel like he's been around for forever.
Yeah,
and so like I feel like if anyone's getting upset about the Paolo comps, there's a huge gap in age here, and so like anytime it seems like we're shitting on Paolo, I don't know. The room for growth, the timeline that I expect them to make like these big strides every offseason that you see out of guys who become the best player in the league, there's still a ton of time for that for Paolo. And with Cade, it's not over or anything. He's not 30, but the clock is definitely ticking. And so to expect him to go from like this bad at finishing around the rim to eventually being like LeBron or something, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I think on that front, I am tempering my expectations. It's cool if we get a leap or a step forward, but I don't know realistically how big it's going to be.
And again, we're listen, there's a lot of video left. We're about to glaze a lot of things about his game, but I think it's important that when we talk about the scoring first, before we get to everything that was built around that, it's important to know the type of player he's going to be as he continues to get better. And what that is that's going to be a player who builds his scoring profile from the outside in, which maybe isn't ideal compared to some of the people we're talking about. But he's going to be a guy that beats you with his size as a shooter because it's really hard to get out there and contest his pull-up threes that are absolutely lethal from that size. And a guy who beats you with in-between game, which is valuable in a late clock scenario where you have to get your own shot a lot of times when the game slows down. But there's always going to be some weakness in terms of interior scoring that prevents him from being super efficient. So that's something you got to think about when you think about building talent around him, because that's always going to be a slight limitation in his scoring profile.
Yeah, I will say you described perfectly. One of the things, and it's not fair to just watch like the good moments of a player, but one of my favorite moments of him this season is it was the third quarter against the Rockets, maybe like 4 or 5 games ago, and he went for 19 points on 7 of 8 shooting. Something like 110% true shooting, something stupid. And I do implore everybody to go watch that because it's a really good showcase of like the ceiling of what he's doing as a jump shooter. Really versatile in terms of like he's hitting pull-up threes off the dribble over Dillon Brooks. He's hitting catch and shoot threes. He's coming off of screens for threes. And then simultaneously, he's like breaking down Asar Thompson Amen Thompson, my fault. Breaking him down off the dribble and hitting like pull-up mid-ranges over him and shit, which like to do that against that caliber of defender, there's really not that many players in the league capable of it right now. And while it's not efficient, it's not an efficient shot diet, it is fun and
it's pretty dope.
It's pretty dope. And I think it lends itself well to, if you get to the postseason, which like for the Pistons, that hasn't even been like a fantasy over the past few years. But once you're into playoff settings and the game slows down, you tougher half-court possessions against better defenders, it's a bag that it lends itself well to still being effective there. You're not going to build a wall and stop Cade Cunningham.
Okay, so that's a scoring picture. Obviously, great shooter, limited interior scorer. That's all the criticism we got for today. We got that out of the way. Let's talk about the real insane strength to his game that has really come around this year. And let's talk about the reason he is a star now. His goddamn passing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a player, when he was drafted, I was having debates with my fellow NBA fan friends saying who's going to be the better passer, LaMelo Ball or Cade Cunningham. He was thought to be that level of passing prospect. He was supposed to be one of the best passers in the league immediately. Mm-hmm. And this is the area that's been most affected by the bullshit rosters that's been around him. Nobody could shoot. Nobody could finish. He's been playing with awful supporting cast for the last 4 years. And while the scoring stuff isn't all because of that, some of its weaknesses, I'm willing to say the passing was held back because nobody could hit any goddamn shots. Because this year, when they added Malik Beasley, added Tobias Harris, added Tim Hardaway, added Simone Fontecchio, traded from him into last year, now he has 4 shooters. He has been one of the best passers in the NBA this year.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you go in one off season from he's a good passer, you see good passes, to now like one of the most effective passers in basketball, and that's not a talent leap. That's not like him being in the gym over the summer and being, oh, my left hand drop off pass, my right hand drop off pass, my skip passes. I can read everything. It's not any amount of work that he put in. I'm sure it helped, but a lot of it is just the guys catching the basketball now are not, picked up off the street for 10 days and shit. It's
9.2 assists
players.
per game. 9.2 assists behind only Trae Young and Nikola Jokic, third in the league. Pretty fucking good company to be in. 12.3 assist percentage, 99th percentile. That's the amount of your team's made shots that you're assisting on. Large number. If you're above 10, you're up. What's the opposite of a bucket getter? You're an assist getter. You're a dime getter.
There you go. Yeah.
32.3 assisted points per 100 possession, 99th percentile again, which means you're better than 99% of players. His team shoots 8.6% better at the rim with him on. And that matches the eye test. He is incredibly good at setting up lobs, specifically in transition. You have Asar Thompson and Ron Holland running on the wings. He's so good at diming them, so good at throwing lobs to Jalen Duren. The team also shoots 3.2% better from 3 with him on. And I think that's actually his greatest skill set as a passer. We mentioned he's really good at attacking that post position as a scorer, and he likes to get in there, slow things down, and really look around and how he's an attack guy over top with length. He's also really good at kicking the ball up for passing lanes from those positions. All these numbers add up and match what you see on the court. You see a guy that can make every pass from every spot on the court because of that size, because of that IQ. Everything is coming together as a playmaker.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like his lob passing, that's what pops to me when I watch. And regardless, he's like really good at both. The shit I wrote down statistically, the nerd stuff, second in the league in pick and roll possessions as a ball handler. He trails only Trae Young in that regard, and he is 67th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler. That's up from 61st percentile on slightly less volume last year. 67th percentile is not insane. I think Trae's like 90th or something. And so that gives you like a kind of an illustration of he's not quite that level of passer strictly out of the pick and roll, but I do think it kind of shows you how good of a lob passer he is. And that's what I wanted to, circling back to like him being very patient in those post-ups and coming around after he's dribbled twice, dribbled 3 times, and he's coming in towards the paint. He is so good at like baiting everyone around the rim into thinking the mid-range shot is going up and then still getting a lob up over it for whoever's cutting on the baseline, or for Duren just sitting in the dunker's spot. And so, that's, I don't know. It jumps out to you as a play that it's not unstoppable. You could definitely like do shit as a defense to fix it if you know it's coming. It's just super reliable as like a productive half-court set.
I love how ashamed you are of knowing numbers.
I'm not on that shit, like, bro.
On that nerd shit.
Not with
and
that.
I saw your
eye test only.
I saw your tweet where you realize people think you're a nerd because you're a Jokic fan, and you're like, damn, I lost Dat Boy Nice. My Dat Boy Nice title is gone. I've lost credibility in the Hooper streets.
I could do 10 minutes on. I didn't mean that you should just watch play, or that it's like. It's always been fine to like players for being cool. It's just the fact that people will take cool players and be like, well, they're better than they are. They're not. They're just cool and they're fun to watch. That doesn't mean They're better at, oh, you know what? Whatever. Let me chill. I said the word percentile on this pod. So if you want to call me a nerd, call me a nerd. It is what it is.
Did you see my tweet? Did you see my tweet replying to you on that tweet?
No, I didn't. That one I muted because everyone's being so mean about it. What'd you say?
I told you it's the Caucasian tax. That no matter what you say, you're a calculator boy, buddy.
Well, it's either I'm a calculator boy or there's like a line where I cross into culture vulture at that point. So it's like
different conversation.
They'll be like, bro, I bet you eat oxtails and yams too. And I'm like, no, dude, Jamal Crawford's just fun to watch. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So like I said, Cade's passing has been insane. I mentioned it with the scoring that he's become incredibly good at fighting over double teams and fighting around them and not letting himself be trapped. That's something that a lot of guards have to overcome as time goes on. Even a guy like Damian Lillard had issues with that deep into his career. Remember when the fucking Pelicans just put him in jail in that playoff series?
Holiday Hammer, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fun series.
Lillard was in the torture rack. That's not something Cade's ever going to have to deal with. He's incredibly good at dealing with that as a scorer, but also as a passer. With everything we said, he's really good at passing over top of traps and hitting rollmen because he's so tall and can reach over and do the double-handed pass.
Yeah.
The Luka Doncic special. Cade Cunningham also has that in his bag.
And when you talk about Dame, I think Dame's a really good example for how advantageous that height is because Dame, really capable passer. We would see Dame make great passes and be a productive passer the entire season, and then you would get to the postseason, and it wasn't, the downfall of the Blazers or anything, his passing, but a lot of the defensive approaches were just like, we're going to make you make difficult reads out of double teams. We're not going to let you pull up, and we're going to make you have to figure out those passes. And it just really limited his effectiveness as like an overall offensive engine sometimes.
Yeah.
Now,
so you add together.
Oh, sorry, you go.
You add together the increased 3-point shooting. He is a legit threat there, and everything else comes together scoring-wise with the ability to really showcase his passing skills because people can actually hit the shots, can actually hit the cutting lanes and take advantage of the things he sees for them this year. You add that together, and what do you have now? You have a 3-point shooting demon that can throw all the passes in the world.
Yes.
That would be one of the best players in the world already if it wasn't for the interior weaknesses as a scorer and the other major weakness that we have to talk about that I actually forgot about. I told you earlier that the interior scoring is the main criticism we had, and from here on out, it's going to be all glaze.
I forgot. That's because I forgot. Too. Yeah, dude.
I forgot. The turnover issue of it all. We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
He is the league's funniest turnover generator. For everything amazing we said for him as a passer, for all the fucking dimes he sees and lasers he delivers to cutters, his turnover issue is hilariously bad. 15% turnover percentage, which is 40th percentile, which he's turned the ball over on 15% of his passing possessions. But it's the way that he gets them. 3.7 bad pass turnovers per game, which also equates on this. This is a super fucking nerd ass stat I found on NBA RAPM.
I've never even heard of this. Go ahead, dude. Yeah.
His bad pass percentage is 14.9% of his passes. 15% of your passes are bad and leading to turnovers.
So a little over one every 10 passes.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing? Where was that even going, dude?
But more importantly, too, 8.8% scoring turnover percentage, which is 22nd percentile, which means the turnovers he gets when he's not passing the ball, when he's just dribbling, when it's either him bringing the ball up, surveying the court, trying to score, drive inside, he gets ripped all the fucking time because his handle is so goddamn loose and he is so aloof sometimes when he's reading the court. I mentioned how the lack of burst doesn't really let him become a really high-level interior scorer. That lack of burst also leads to a lack of super tight handle, and that leads to a lot of turnovers because he is much easier to rip than the average point guard.
Yes. Part of it's because he's tall. But part of it is, and part of all of this, when you watch, and it's what makes me feel a little bit better about it, because it just seems all like attitude based, and that's not like Julius Randle like bad attitude or anything. It's just like he'll be bringing the ball up against Amen Thompson or against Dyson Daniels or whoever, just premier elite defenders, and he'll be like, I don't need to protect this ball right now. What do you mean? I'm Cade, dude. I could do whatever. And then like he gets a foot into the paint and it's just gone. Like you're never
Give me that.
seeing it again. And it's both with dribbling and passing because it's the same thing. Like he'll get hit with the double and he'll be like, I'm about to throw the perfect skip pass. And it just like Dyson Daniels they're making eye contact while he's thinking that. He's like staring right at one of the best defenders in the league. And he's like, you have no idea what's coming. And he just hands the ball to him. And so it's frustrating.
Ooh, they gonna love this. I'm about to throw this across the court behind my head. Oh, it's gone. Never mind. Going the other way.
Yeah.
I saw the clip of you and Pablo talking about it on State of the League. Plug State of the League podcast. Check it out.
Go follow State of the League. First of all, everyone go follow Project 94 on TikTok. We're trying to get some fucking bread off of that. 500,000 views for free is a little ridiculous, but whatever. Yeah, you keep going.
I saw you and Pablo talking about it, and it was hilarious. Pablo was exactly spot on. He said Cade Cunningham approaches plays like the defense isn't allowed to try and take the ball from him. Like they're supposed to just watch him. That's how it feels sometimes. For all the talents in the world, all the abilities to make passes, attack the right parts of the court, deal with defenses in smart, high IQ ways because he's dealt with tough coverages his whole life. Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes he just fucking forgets that he has to do those things, and he just glitches a little bit, and it leads to a turnover issue that can improve, will improve. But some people, like the person I'm talking to, doesn't believe turnovers matter.
Nice.
And some people think since thinking basketball came out here like 4 or 5 years ago and like patented this idea that high level passers create more turnovers because they're high level passers and they make high level passes that are more prone to mistakes than easy passes. A lot of people just like write off turnovers and like, boys will be boys. Harden has the ball a lot. He's going to turn it over.
Turnovers don't matter. Nothing ever happens. Okay.
It matters a little bit. It matters a decent amount.
So for James Harden, turnovers don't matter. I think that's like a guy where just the turnovers that he's making are efficient plays. There's not really any of this like lackadaisical shit involved. It's just like a good play that if it had worked, it would have been great. And the defense made a play. And it's just something that happens in basketball. And you can't really trim that shit out. Turnovers don't matter. And sometimes with Cade, they don't matter. But sometimes
I think you should stand on it. I think you should go full on, like, let this be the hill you die on.
Oh, online I will be. I'm just talking
turnovers don't matter.
I respect you, so I'll keep it real and our listeners and everything. But on Twitter, oh my God, turnovers.
No, just be the real you. Turnovers don't matter.
Turnovers don't matter. Turnovers don't matter.
It's deep state, absolute woke nonsense.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. People are like, oh, basketball is too much of an analytical game now. Stop counting the turnovers, man. Just take a number out of the box score. It's easy.
You just got to go full like Alex Jones. This is your stick. You're like, deep state stat counters want you to believe that turnovers are a thing. Oh, scum. You just got to go all
scum.
out.
Scott Foster poked Cade Cunningham in the eye with a hop.
Scum.
Scum.
They're turning the kids woke.
Oh my God. They're turning the ball handlers lazy. It's sad. It's really sad. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Shout out to the bright red Alex Jones, man.
Yeah. So the turnovers are a real thing that Cade needs to improve on. Part of it is skill, like we said, part of it's mindset. Part of it is okay when you're a high level passer, but if you're already not going to be the most efficient scorer in the world because of your rim limitations, you got to really maximize your playmaking value. Maximize. Not mobilize.
Oh my God. I was going to say that was
my
stupid.
bad. Ah, fuck. Shit.
Cut that.
But he has to really be like peak playmaking value,
yes.
which he can be, I think. But this is how you clean it up. And you have to have just like a really good assist to turnover ratio, really protect the ball. That's why guys like SGA are so valuable because they just take a really good care of the ball that gives you like a higher baseline for offensive production. Cade needs to be that type of guy. And I think he can be.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's also, if the path we're going down is he uses his 3-point shot to really emphasize his savvy interior scoring or whatever, and really being a smooth operator in the paint from the free throw line down, throwing lobs and hitting floaters or whatever. All of those spots are spots where there's going to be like 3 guys poking at the ball all the time. And so if you're doing that and you're like, I don't really take that much care of the ball. I'm a pretty free spirit that way. That could result in something like, it wouldn't be his fault if the Pistons lost a playoff series right now because they don't have the talent to win a playoff series. But I think the way they lose would turn a lot of people against Cade, because it would just be defenses being like, give me that, give me that, give me that. And it would just look really bad optically.
This is how he'll jump. I think so far this year with this level of play he's playing at the level of like a top 19 to 23, 24 type of player.
Yeah, comfortably, yeah.
Top 20. To get to top 10, he has to be protector of the ball. It has to be one of the best playmakers in the world, because he's never going to be a super efficient scorer. That's how he gets to MVP level, is by fixing this issue. Yeah. And part of it also is, too, he's way too overtaxed right now as a ball handler on this team. His usage is still outlandish. A big part of this improvement this year has been the improvements along the margins of things we're talking about, like as a shooter, playmaker, because he has more shooting around him. Yes. It's also, a lot of it is kind of just usage, especially after Jaden Ivey went down. He has a 35% usage in those 12 games, which is too high, I think. It's third behind SGA and Giannis. He needs to have a real combo guard next to him that can create. I've always advocated for a Zach LaVine trade, because there just needs to be a second ball handler so he doesn't have to pound the rock like James Harden. That'll also improve a lot of things. They ask way too much of him, and it sets him up when he has these weaknesses.
And it's frustrating because we saw it with Jaden Ivey. Cade can play off of people. He's a dependable catch and shoot guy. I mean, if you contrast him with like what the rest of the Pistons team has looked like as catch and shoot 3-point shooters since Cade entered the league, Cade right now is like an incredible shooter. He's like 36% on catch and shoot. And he's like, I don't know, just the way passers kind of know where to be without the ball. They're aware of like, okay, well, if I had the ball right now, this is where I would want that guy to be, and can bare minimum stay out of the way, but he can also get involved as like a supplementary playmaker a lot of times. He's good. He's not... Is it shitty to call Luka like kind of just like standing around off the ball? I do feel like that's the rep.
Luka's the worst off ball player ever. It's true. Luka's not good off ball. And Cade is not that. Cade can be a combo guard. I showed you those stats earlier with the play types. The shooting play types include off ball screens and spot up shots. 61% true shooting. He is good at these play types. He just has no reason to do them when the alternative is to watch like Marcus Sasser or Tim Hardaway Jr. dribble now. And shout out those guys. They've been very important to the spacing around him.
Shout out to Marcus.
But I actually like Marcus Sasser a lot.
That's great. He's good, but that's just such a stray. Marcus Sasser, dude.
You don't want these guys pounding the rock late game situations. You're going to more than likely want Cade to slam that bitch into the court 1,000 times and make something happen. And it's good for the team, but not great for his statistical profile. I did it again. Statistic profile. Fuck, I'm adding Coles to everything.
I mean, it's whatever. If anyone ever corrects you, shut up, dude.
Fuck off.
Start your own podcast called the Talking Good Podcast, dude. We're not about that shit over here. The usage stuff, I mean, when you think about like Shea and Giannis, it's like, yes, you'll probably have a high usage if you're having an MVP level season and you're elevating a mid team to insane heights or a good team to all-time heights or whatever. But it's really not that good to have a 35% usage rate on just like an okay team. Like you are just doing way too much at that point, and the path forward to being competitive is redistributing some of those possessions and getting it down a little bit very clearly.
So yeah, everything we just said, we explained a flawed but incredibly impactful player offensively right now. We know he's essentially like a slower, more methodical, kind of like what Tyrese Halliburton has been, where he's going to beat you from an outside shot perspective and a passing perspective. Cade just has a little more juice interior.
Aura too.
Tyrese
Halliburton, no aura. It's crazy. So
no green eyes. Like he's not tough. He's not happening.
Cade's so tough. I bet he's about to go do a money spread in the club after this.
My god.
Probably popping bottles, hang out with baddies, dude. Probably
you're swag too different, bitch too bad. They'll kill you.
They'll kill you, Cade. Stop, please.
But the reason why Cade is a top 20 player right now and Tyrese Halliburton is constantly floating around those talks, but it really depends on if his 3-point shot is going in or not, is because Cade is awesome as a defender. We haven't talked about that yet. He's legitimately an above average defender, while still this year the roster is better. Yeah. The defensive talent is bullshit still. It's not good. They're like 26th in defensive rating despite the improvements they made. Don't have good defenders, so he can't shine as a guard defender when you're surrounded by non-good defenders. But his size and his strength, which is helpful in offense, even more helpful on defense, he's legitimately impactful. And I think
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that they go hand in hand. So like when we go back to this usage percentage on offense and everything and how much they're asking him to do, when that goes down, what is already a good defender, like the ceiling on defense, if you're concerned about like how good and how many of these offensive errors you can really trim out of his game, I do think it's important to acknowledge that in a good setting where he's not doing all of this stuff, even if all of those offensive warts are still there, on the other end, you have an incredibly impactful player, much more so than, I mean, take your pick. Anyone who's averaged like 20 and 10 over the past however many years, it's really not that many good defenders.
At all. And even this year, when he's overtaxed offensively and probably not at the peak defense we're going to see from him if he's ever on a good team, he still has a really specific way he impacts his defense that I find massively impressive, and that's as a rim protector. I think the NBA world doesn't talk about this enough, but one of the best ways to become an elite defense is rim protection, obviously. That's why guys like Rudy Gobert win DPOIs. That's why Wemby's going to win it this year. Interior defense is important. It is a massive fucking cheat code when you can have a guard who provides rim protection and size, positioning. Cade is an awesome rim protector. 7.7 rim contests per game. Opponents' shots at the rim go down 9.4% when he's contesting them from their averages.
Fuck.
That's a big fucking swing. Yeah. I saw a play when they were playing the Hawks game where he did a weak side rotation and blocked Dyson Daniels at the rim. They go down, he scores. The next play, he chased down blocks Dyson Daniels. Chased down blocks him like LeBron in back-to-back plays. He is a legitimate menace down there with his size. Opponents get to the rim 4% less with him on the court. So not only is he good at contesting shots, he's good at deterring them from being taken alongside the other people he's playing with in these lineups. That's a legitimate place of value. That's why guys like Jalen Suggs are all defense. Why Dwayne Wade was one of the best defenders at his position during his peak. Luka's good at this. That's why he has some silver linings defensively. Being a big guard and using your size down low is massively impactful.
Yeah. I think when you talk about like the Celtics last year also, just like not even just Tatum help side or anything, but like Derek White and Drew Holiday, there's just so few chances against them that you really get like a truly wide open layup, and it makes it so much more difficult. What was I just about to say? Oh, it's lost forever. Oh,
that's tough.
This is so
Anyways,
sad.
I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Lakers fan.
There was like a 2-week stretch a while back where he had like 3 straight up game winning blocks over the course of this like span where like he packed Şengün on a chase down on one. They had to like challenge it to overturn the call and everything, but it ended up winning the game for him. And there's been a number of those. The chase down is one thing, but also just straight up like you were saying, just coming over as a help side guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I watch the Lakers every night. You watch the Nuggets every night. We do not have the privilege of watching guards that do fucking anything under the rim. D'Angelo Russell doesn't do a goddamn thing on a rotation. And obviously that's not Jamal Murray's game. That wasn't even KCP's game per se. So it's something that not every
Brown
team has.
Will just like fucking lay somebody out, but it's never like a good block. It's always just like, dude, what are you doing? That's too much. Yeah.
It's very rare, and it stands out now when you're on a bad team still with not good defensive talent. But once they get to a position where they can replace Jalen Duren, or Jalen Duren can learn how to defend the rim a little bit, and they have a good backline help, they have wing defenders like Asar and Ron Holland who continue to develop and can be the main go-to guys. Having someone like Cade be your 4th or 5th best defender and being able to act cleanup under the rim whenever everything else fails for the other defenders, it takes you from good to great defense. And I think he'll be able to do that. It's the same thing how SGA gets so much hype for being a good defender as a lead ball handler. He's not Alex Caruso SGA. But he's a great assist getter. I'm not assist getter, good steal getter. Very good playmaker because he has that length in the same way. That can be Cade. He can be another guy that maybe someone like Luka does a little more offensively than him. If Cade ever gets to an MVP talk and he's going against whoever, Dylan Harper in 7 years and he's on that level, whatever.
Okay, all right.
Maybe those guys are more efficient and do these things better. Cade will be able to hang his hat on he provides defensive value because his interior impact is legitimate and impactful, even more than like an average star guard who it's not hard to get credit as a star guard defender. You just got to be decent, but he'll be better than decent.
I mean, it really is great. Like, let's run through it. Harden, bad. I mean, for all of like, he can guard guys in the post. When he gets posted up on, he can guard them. bad defender. Trae Young, bad defender. Luka, bad defender. Westbrook, intermediate defender. Like him and Paul George were on that team, the late Thunder team, where it was it was really like top 5 defense, and he could generate steals and everything, but he was never like a go-to perimeter guy or anything.
Yeah.
And really, like that's an incredibly, if it's just Westbrook over the past 5 years or whatever, it feels like, I don't know. To me, like Jason Kidd jumps out in my mind as like one of the last guys we saw really be like a pass first offensive engine that was also a really high level defender.
Chris
And
Paul.
I don't know, Kidd, like genuinely one of the best guard defenders of all time. I don't think Cade will hit that level, but the fact that like defenses aren't just like, that's our guy every trip down the floor, or offenses, I should say, aren't just like, get him onto a switch and we're fine. Like if he's on an island, that's a productive possession. The fact that he's already at that level while carrying this kind of a load offensively, it's good. It's good. He's definitely moving in the right direction.
Exactly. And that's why when you look at I say he's a top 20 player right now. 20. That's difficult. There's like 40 great star level players. So I mentioned some flaws where somebody might, like a Pistons fan might watch this video and feel like I'm being critical because I'm spending more time on the weaknesses. But this defensive value really matters. When I compare him to guys like Jalen Brunson, who I'm still ranking above Cade, because he's offensively amazing, Jalen Brunson doesn't give you jack shit defensively. So Cade makes up some ground there by, at the minimum, like you said, he'll never be the guy you can attack. At the very minimum, even if he gets older and his rim protection falls off, he'll never be attackable. He'll at least be passable and won't hurt you in any way. And not a lot of star point guards can say that.
Yeah, it's good. I like, and I don't know, he's just the whole team at this point really is a team that like benefits from getting out in transition so much. They're so athletic that any possessions you can generate to get out and run, like steals or blocks or missed layups, and it's all good. And so I fuck with it. I don't really have anything else on his defense.
That's it. So
what do you want to glaze next? I guess.
Let's play a little game. Let's go Jigsaw.
Okay. Okay.
I mentioned if he's ever in MVP debates. I'm going to name you 2 young NBA players. You tell me who's more likely to win an MVP in the future.
Okay.
Let's think about if Cade's going to be in these talks one day. And we'll do some other players too to mix it up.
He's already 9th in the ladder. So, I mean.
Bro, I'm so fucking sick of people on Twitter
he's
referencing this
right
goddamn
now.
ladder. This one man's opinion who works for NBA.com. I'm so sick of it.
And what's
Sabonis is on
funny
the
is,
ladder.
like,
What do you mean?
Like 9th place on the ladder is such a non-thing. Like
So
it's
stupid.
fine if you want to be like, well, he's third. Okay. 9th place on the ladder. Congratulations. Nobody cares.
They don't even vote that deep in reality. It means
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
All right. Give me these players. Let's go.
First off, let's stick on topic. Who's more likely to win an MVP? Cade Cunningham or Anthony Edwards?
Oh, I'll go Anthony Edwards at this point. Just because he's got a huge aura boost, and I think.
Okay. Cade Cunningham's going aura for aura. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I just doesn't feel like that right now. It feels like Anthony Edwards yelled at the crowd in a playoff series, and so it's like he's cool now, and everybody likes him.
Wait till we get play-in Cade. He's also gonna have his time to shine.
I also feel like there's going to be a season where the Timberwolves really figure it out offensively. Maybe get some of the bad players on their roster. And I think
I wonder which players you could be talking about.
I don't know. Maybe they've already been name dropped in this episode. Who's to say? But I think when they figure those issues out, Anthony Edwards will get a lot of the credit for it. Whether or not it's true, I don't know, because maybe he will take like a big offensive leap. But maybe it will just be the team getting better. Either way, I'll go Anthony Edwards there.
I think it's going to be a long time before the Timberwolves are able to rebuild to a point where their team is good enough for him to be in MVP conversations. Rudy Gobert looks like he's taken several steps back. Julius Randle. It's not looking pretty.
Poor guy. Damn.
Yeah.
His son's watching this pod. He's crying. It's sad.
Oh, he's not old enough, thank God.
Yeah. Hey, as opposed to the Pistons, they're right around the corner. Guys, don't worry.
Neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
They're due. Come on.
Okay. Let's flip gears a little bit.
All right.
Victor Wembanyama or Luka Doncic?
Victor. Oh, damn. Luka's tough.
At this point, it's like the Wemby era is about to start.
Yeah,
Luka didn't get it last year.
It's the future GOAT. I'm going Victor Wembanyama.
Luka didn't get it when he averaged a 34-point triple-double. I don't know if Victor Wembanyama is going to slow down. So, I don't know.
It's just, like you do really feel like Victor Wembanyama is looming over everything right now. And on top of the health issues that Luka's had this season, it's just, I don't know. If he didn't win it last season, unless Jokic like collapses, I feel like we're gonna get this weird transition from like Jokic is the best player in the world, Jokic MVP. That's the guy you're going against, and then one day it will just flip, and it'll now be Wemby is the guy you're going against. Blah blah blah, and he's just losing to both of them, and it's not fair. But
a new large fella to piss off Mavs fans because they watched Luka finish second to him.
Maybe he'll get like a cool like 35-year-old MVP or something. It'll just be like, we got to give him one. This is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, Wemby has 4 by then.
Wemby, it's the GOAT. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's literally the GOAT.
I know. Okay. Zion Williamson or Tyrese Halliburton?
Tyrese Halliburton. And that's not to say it'll happen, but I'll take.
You gotta make a bet on something.
Hey, if I get a full season of what Halliburton was for the first 3 months of last year, that is a guy who could win an MVP. Depending.
What if I get a full season of what Zion did in that one playoff game before the fourth quarter?
Hey, full season of the play-in tournament game from last year where he literally dropped 40 on Anthony Davis's head, and then he left the game with 2 minutes left, and it's like, where'd Zion go? And then the report the next day is like, oh, he's done for a month, dude. He's not seeing the postseason. It sucks.
Maybe Zion's that is a full season of what we got from him, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe that's exactly what we've seen from him in a full season.
Yeah. Shout out to Zion. It would just be tough. Whereas the path for Halliburton is so much clearer.
Shout out to Tyrese Halliburton. I definitely think an MVP is in your future.
Okay, it's a bit much. Glazer. Oh my God.
Let's get back to Cade Cunningham. Back to the Pistons. We talked about the offensive strengths and weaknesses, the playmaking strengths and weaknesses, the added defensive value. So what do the Pistons do now? He's burst onto the scene. He is a star. He is ready. He has them in a position where they're going to compete for a playoff spot. The team around him has veterans. They have necessary shooting, competency to some regard, and a bunch of young players still who aren't nearly ready to compete. Where do you go from here timeline-wise for this team?
I was talking to you before the pod about this. I just feel like now is the margin of error is so small. If you're the Pistons, you have to. If you're a Pistons fan, you have to pray that they have gotten all their fuck-ups out over the last 5 years, and it's just been all those mistakes were cleansing themselves to get ready for just savvy move after savvy move building around Cade. Because I do feel like he's the guy who could be a foundation piece for a competitive team. It's just that now they're so good, they're not even going to be in the lottery for good draft picks anymore. Not that they were winning the lottery and they got Cade, and then they got a bunch of 5th overalls, and that's tough, but that's where you're at right now. They're too good to really be in high draft order anymore, and they're young players. It's very murky who the young core is moving forward. I don't know if you asked Pistons fans or the Pistons front office, who's the real building blocks here? I think they'd say Cade, Asar, and we'll see what Holland is, and beyond that, we have no idea. So
they've gotten so screwed at the lottery, man. The fact that they were the worst team in the NBA for 5 years and got 1 number 1 pick and 1,000 number 5s, and they didn't do the best job drafting. They didn't pick the late stars that were there at number 5.
Yeah.
They picked decent players, but they didn't do an amazing job. This is a tough spot. I kind of think they have to make a trade for another all-star soon. An Ingram type, a Levine type, whoever's available. These low-level all-star players that they don't have a thriving market. I kind of think the Pistons should be in the market for that. Because what do? You keep sucking for a few more years and hope you get lucky in the lottery? No, you're done with that. You've been in the lottery for so long. You let your core naturally develop. Sure, there's not a clear path. You're not on a thunder path here where you're going to have 2 other all-star level guys. I just don't. They're kind of stuck in between, and I feel like they have to just go all in to be like the best of the in between and get a Zach LaVine.
Yeah. LaVine I'm cool with because he's under contract and because I think that the way the timelines line up, I don't think it would take an insane amount of stuff to get him, and I don't think you'd be like locked into him for the entirety of Cade's prime or anything. It would just be like a nice, competent guy to have us beside Cade for the next few seasons while everybody continues to develop. Ingram, having to like give Ingram a whole new contract really scares me. Yeah. I would not do that if I was the Pistons. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for Ingram either. I threw a name out there.
Psych, we're not doing that. Yeah, I think. First of all, I think a lot of people should be prepared for the fact that they might be worse next year. Especially, I think losing Malik Beasley this offseason, who's probably going to go somewhere else and get a better contract because he's played his way into like better free agency value. Losing him possibly, I don't know how long Tobias Harris's contract is, but I just think there's a chance they could be worse next season, and I think they need to sell high on the young guys that they don't want to be a part of their core anymore. I think there's a serious chance that they hold too long on, if Jalen Duren's not going to be here for the long run, his stock could crash over the next few seasons, and you end up selling him for like seconds or for like bad players or mid players. Whereas right now, I feel like if you structure a deal around him, you could get a promising young guy or serious draft picks back. So yeah, I think selling at the right points on a lot of their like valuable players that they're not going to keep moving forward is really important. And then just continuing to develop Cade, Asar. And I do believe in like the Cade, Asar, Jaden Ivey, and Ron Holland as like 4. I do believe that could be solid, especially in the East. I feel like it could be competent at least.
Yeah, your fifth spot there. You didn't mention a center. You need a real strong player there because I like the look a lot that everybody likes when they have Asar and Holland out there and have athletic wings around Cade. That moves me. I don't dislike Ivy as a prospect. He moves me a little bit. I like it a little bit more when they have a shooter next to him. The net rating in lineups where Cade is playing next to Malik Beasley or next to Tim Hardaway and they have a shooter at the 2 next to him. That's nice. Having that movement shooter makes a big difference for a guy like Cade. All the players you mentioned, that's an interesting lineup with a lot of athleticism, maybe some defensive upside if Asar continues to develop into this all-level defensive player that we saw flashes of him early last year. There's no fucking shooting in those 4. I mean, Ivy shoots well percentage-wise, and he can shoot, but it's different than like what Malik Beasley bringing you as an off-screen shooter. It's just a different role. He doesn't want the ball.
Or that Zach LaVine, like that's LaVine slots in very well in that role.
Exactly. So I guess honestly, the players you mentioned, they have value, which is good. So if players come available for trade, they have the pieces to like move pieces around and try to find guys that fit Cade a little bit better. So they're in a good spot. But like you said, they got to nail their moves that are coming up because they have not a ton of margin to move with. Because listen, Cade's gonna be in year 5. He's getting up there. Like the clock is ticking. You only have so many years.
And if he keeps getting better, you're like it's just the days of really contending for the number 1 overall pick when you're in the same conference as what the Wizards are going to be doing over the next few years. The Nets haven't even really started their tank yet. It's just there's a lot of teams that are going to be so much more committed to being bad than the Pistons are. You're not going to get like a super high pick. And so part of it, which like is unrealistic, is just they do have to start hitting on later picks. Like I get that it's the 10th pick. I get that it's not a layup for whoever you're taking, but at the same time, if a team wants to be competitive teams hit on the 10th overall pick. And they really drafting Killian Hayes set this whole thing so far back. Oh, God. Like if you follow the dominoes all the way back, drafting Killian Hayes fucked everything up so bad for them.
Yeah. Okay, well let's play a game. Let's play a
game.
Let's imagine a world where we could create the best case scenario lineup around Cade. Let's build out our own dream lineup around him.
Okay.
So if we're giving him a real true co-star, who do you want the first star to be?
Oh man.
You know how I feel. I told you before who I want to see next to him.
Do you want to see Zach LaVine next to him?
No, I want to see Anthony fucking Davis next to him after the Lakers blow it up.
Oh my God.
AD would be so perfect as the Cade co-star.
That would be sick. I'd be fine with that. I just kind of hesitate in terms of the the age.
Well, keep in mind,
and
this isn't
everything?
realistic. This is just like us 1 through 5 making a lineup, not like could they actually.
Okay,
win them.
fine. I don't give a shit about the age anymore. Well,
I changed my mind.
don't clip that. Yeah, and so yeah, AD I'd be cool with. I would also be interested in somebody like Lively, but I don't want to pair like a front court like that together. Because neither of them can really shoot. So let's roll with AD at the 4 then.
Okay, AD's the co-star. I think we can put a third star who's like a low-level star. Who would be the perfect one?
Tobias Harris.
Oh my God, you want to keep Tobias at the 4 just to do it?
No. At the 4, let's do Lowry Markkanen. The contracts would be really tough and like it's not realistic, like you said. But in terms of play style fit, I think Markkanen suits both of them really well. One of the best.
So you want the second star to be power forward?
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm slotting AD at the center.
Yeah, so you can put anybody. Like if we're giving a third star to this core in the world, we're making up our own dream lineup.
Yeah, I'm dreaming about Lowry Markkanen. Is that insane? Jeez, like it's the best off-ball scorer in basketball last year.
Okay, fine. We'll go Lowry Markkanen. I'm okay with that.
Who would make your case? I don't care.
I don't know.
I don't care about any of this. I'm too cool to care.
I'll let you pick. We can go Lowry Markkanen. I like that size. You have 6'7" point guard, 6'11" power forward, 6'11" center. That's a good start.
Yeah.
So now we need 2 role players. We desperately need a shooting guard that can dribble a little bit for the first time in Cade's career.
Yeah.
For someone who's reasonably priced and realistic, who could that role player shooting guard be?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Do we cheat and go Derek White?
Yo, that's not cheating. I mean, the Boston Celtics got Derek White for Romeo Langford.
You're right.
I'm cool putting him wherever we want.
Okay, Derek White is the dream shooting guard next to Cade. Who do we round this out with at the 3?
I'm comfortable. White's a good shooter. Lowry's a great shooter. Cade's competent.
Just keep a SAR.
I was literally gonna say like if you don't want to go Asar because you're nervous about you haven't seen him yet, just slot a men in. We've seen a men. The shit looks crazy so far. I'm genuinely cool with that. Just like incredibly high level defender.
Let's throw the Pistons a bone. Let's give them at least one player who gets to stay on this team for our dream scenario where they're actually good. Let's get Asar. Can he shoot right now? Fuck no. Do I think he'll be able to shoot in the future? In my dream scenario, yes. So we're going Asar at the 3.
Yeah. That is funny. Just be like, hey, what's the perfect team look around like this guy? None of the people you have right now.
Exactly.
Like you don't have anything. But it would be cool if it was completely different.
Like how funny is that we can't even like imagine like if we did this with any other player, we'd have like their co-star or whoever else in the young core makes sense and build around that. There isn't shit. We got to let them make a wish piece.
The one guy that we're like, yeah, I could see it. It's like, oh, that guy had a blood clot for 4 months. So
in this world, he has to completely transform his game.
Yeah, that would be cool. So Cade, White, Asar, Markkanen, Anthony Davis. I suppose it all hinges on the kind of like big time, big moment player that Cade turns into. We've never seen him in the playoffs so far. So right now, that lineup to me, it doesn't jump out as like, does that win a title for sure? Because we haven't seen what Cade could be in the playoffs. But if he continues on the arc he's on, maybe we look back in 10 years and we're like, yo, that lineup would have been crazy. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So that's everything we talked about. That's what they got to do next. Why Cade's a star now. I want to do a little bonus segment before we get out of here.
Okay.
On the D3, you've been on the show several times. We like to make lineup drafts where we build players with certain themes. I think it would be hilarious if we built NBA lineups with only players that played with Cade Cunningham.
Okay.
Because this man has the worst teammate history I've ever seen. These lineups are going to be hysterical.
Wow. No respect. Okay, whatever. These are NBA players. These are some of the best basketball players in the world.
Great. Good for them.
Okay, I have a couple written down here, actually. I was curious. Do you want my silly list or my serious list?
Well, let's do the way we do it on the D3. Let's go back and forth. We'll take turns drafting players until we both have full starting 5s.
Okay. Do you get to go first?
Hell yeah, I get to go first.
All right, whatever.
With the first pick at power forward, I would like the best player Cade's ever played with. Give me Jeremy Grant.
Oh my God. Okay.
What a start.
Nuggets legend, baby. Shout out to Jeremy Grant, Blazers legend. Yo, if you want to laugh, go look at the rest of his contract that the Blazers gave him. That's actually so funny. All right, my first overall, I will go Jaden Ivey. I do genuinely think he's probably the second best player he's ever played with.
Okay. Give me the guy that's brought the Pistons to relevancy this year. Give me Tobias Harris.
Hell yeah.
What a forward duo.
Jeremy Grant, Tobias Harris. All right. Jaden Ivey.
I smell buckets in my future.
I will at the 2 slot Bojan Bogdanovic.
Big ass lineup.
Hey, yeah, I don't want him in my wing because he can't guard anybody. But
he can guard guards.
At the 2, he's cool. We can hide him on someone.
Okay. At my 2, shooting guards, you say? Give me a Sar Thompson.
That's good. That's fair.
This guy's got wings.
Wings. I'll go big.
All deeply flawed.
I'll go beef stew. Give me Isaiah Stewart at the 5, and we'll just run this weird. He's not a huge guy, but I mean, I genuinely do think he's a better basketball player than Durant. So
he's certainly been better this year.
It's not the bar's not crazy, but I'll take him.
And you got an enforcer. You got dog. Like, you think Tobias Harris can get his game off with beef stew down low? I don't think so.
There we go. Yeah, who you got?
To match up with beef stew, give me Kelly Olynyk.
No! God damn it.
Let's space that floor. Get him out the paint. We got to open driving lanes for Tobias Harris.
Fuck. All right.
I smell the finals appearance in my future.
This is tough. Who do I take at the 3? Genuinely, what wings has this guy played with besides
Sadiq Bey?
Oh, that might have to be it. 50-point game Sadiq Bey is like the only thing I can think
of. A 50-point gamer on here is a pretty good advantage.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right, I'll take Sadiq Bey at the 3. It's so frustrating.
See, I'm not even going to let you hold on to that 50-point game advantage for that long. Give me the other 50-point game on this list. Give me Malachi Flynn at point guard. All right, run that show, Malachi.
If we're bullshitting the last pick, then I'll go Marvin Bagley at the 4. Give me Marvin Bagley. Hey, that's the former second overall pick. That's a lottery guy. Like, that's great value this late in the draft. That's insane. The ceiling, his second jump on the rebounds. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
So who do I got? I got Malachi Flynn, Asar Thompson, Jeremy Grant, Tobias Harris, Kelly Olynyk. How many wins do I get in a regular season?
Oh, I mean, if it was 2010, you'd probably get like 30, but it's 2025, so you'll probably get like 9. Jaden Ivey, Bogdanovic, Sadiq Bey, Marvin Bagley, and Isaiah Stewart.
That's the worst team of all time.
That's straight up terrible. That's 2
wins.
That's straight up terrible. Do you get like the best version of Tobias Harris that's ever played, or is this just Pistons Tobias?
It's the best version, that much better.
That was almost an all-star with the Clippers.
Clippers Tobias Harris, man. That's when he
was almost an all-star. They took a game. Was he on they took a game off the Warriors? Was he on that Clippers team?
Was he? I know it was Lou Williams.
It was Lou Will and fuck. It's not Andre Bargnani, but it's
Gallinari.
Gallinari, that's who it is. I was like, it's an Italian name. Yeah. Damn. That was low-key such a sick team. It was like,
I know.
Our starters, they're kind of mid, but we have 2 6-man of the year candidates. Mm-hmm. So our bench is crazy.
Shout out Montrez, man. What happened to him?
He had a bunch of weed in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, I don't even know about that.
He got in trouble, and it was like, I don't know. It was supposed to be a felony, but he got the athlete tax, so they were like, "That's cool. Just keep it pushing."
Shout out celebrity.
He's in Australia now. Actually, if you go look up, he's hooping in Australia, and I know because I did a deep dive where everybody's really racist because he practices with his big chain on, and they're like Australian, like, show some class. That's not how you respect the sport. Something like that.
Be a professional.
Yeah, exactly. Be professional. That's so funny, dude.
If you're still here at the end of this episode, comment, shout out Montrez. I want to see Montrez's in the comments. What's your Montrezl? And we'll see you
And
next
I was
time.
gonna say, if you spell it wrong, you're a dick. So make sure you double check that.
You better respect him.
All right. Is that it?
See you all in a couple days.
Adios.